urgent alert for those along the Muskegon River Floodplain below Croton. Those folks right now are being urged to evacuate. That was just sent out moments ago in a Nixle notice. I'm going to go ahead and read what that notice says. So it says water levels continue to rapidly rise on the Muskegon River. Anyone remaining in the floodplain below Croton Dam is directed to evacuate now. Public safety personnel are checking all impacted areas to ensure residents have left that area. They say anyone choosing to remain in the floodplain, Public Safety Services will no longer be able to come there to respond until conditions become safe too. Now, impacted areas should also expect power to be disconnected in order to protect their property and the electrical grid. And right now it sounds like we are following this. It's that Muskegon River floodplain, Croton Dam below the dam there. And we want to show you some evacuation information right here on your screen. So again, this is the Muskegon River floodplain south of the Croton Dam. Right now, public safety personnel are clearing that area. We've got public access areas closed in some areas. We're also learning officials have closed the river near the Hesperia Dam for unsafe conditions too. So basically what they're saying is if you live below that, in that floodplain area below the Croton Dam, you need to evacuate if you live within that impacted area. There is an evacuation center available at the Newaygo County Commission on Aging that's located at 93 South Gibbs in White Cloud. And if you need direct support, you're asked to call 211. And if you have an emergency, of course, call 911. But Sam, we've been seeing this rain, of course, the entire week. We've had a lot of rain in the last week and a half so far. And we've seen these issues kind of pop up over and over where they thought, you know, something like this could happen, where we could see an evacuation put into place here. And of course, this is something that we've been monitoring. So I guess, what are you seeing on your end of the weather side of this?
Yeah, so I just checked the current gauge levels right now, right? They're constantly updated, constantly being fed. And right now we're sitting at 12 feet. That pushes it into major flood stage. For perspective, Tanner, I updated a graphic at 7:50 this morning. They were only in moderate flood stage, and now they've pushed into that major flood stage above what was projected for the Croton Dam area. The other thing that's really important, right, when we think of a river basin, we always want to think about what is downstream from that location. So we have the Croton Dam, and then downstream from the Croton Dam is going to be Newaygo. So Muskegon River at Newaygo is going to be the next location downstream from that, because water is going to flow down. And so that's going to be another area that we will watch for projected increases in flooding rapidly and potentially faster than what was originally anticipated. That is something that's already being projected on some of my models here. Downstream of Newaygo is going to be Muskegon River at Bridgeton, right? So the water is going to keep flowing down. We of course don't have those immediate evacuation orders in those different locations at this point in time. These are all of the different flood reports that we have ongoing on our map right now. And so it is the portion of the Muskegon River currently located in southern portions of Newaygo County that we're watching really, really closely. And of course, right there along the Muskegon.
This is a graph of the most recent and
so what you're seeing here right now is the graph of the most recent gauge levels. It's a little bit difficult to read, but what you'll know is that our level right now is sitting at 11.8 feet. Flood stage, major flood stage, is at 12 feet. So it's really, really close to sitting at that spot. Regular flood stage is at 9 feet. So we exceeded that multiple days ago. It was actually not set to originally crest until closer to Friday night into Saturday morning, but we're already exceeding some of those projected statuses. This is one of many rivers that are currently sitting at that moderate to major flood stage. Right now, some of those additional spots are currently located all along that Muskegon River Basin in Newaygo County. We are also sitting at minor flood stage in portions of the Grand River as well. And this is all a result of the ongoing rain event that we have had since Monday. We have had multiple rounds, several inches of rain come down. And here are some of the things that you need to know when it comes to flood alerts. You need to review your flood action plan and make sure that you are staying informed of the forecast. Traveling really safely is going to be critically important. You want to slow down, avoid hydroplaning, and never drive through standing water. We have now had 3 reports of sinkholes stretched across West Michigan, 2 in Newaygo County, 1 in Berry County. With that being said, 3 separate reports of sinkholes is one of the big reasons that we say that phrase, turn around and don't drown. Flash flood actions that we're going to watch closely. Waters rapidly rising. Calling 911 for life-threatening conditions. If you're no longer feeling like you're in a safe scenario or that you cannot evacuate yourself, we are asking you at this point that you call 911 to get help with those evacuations and finding higher ground immediately. And again, that important keynote, it's a little bit repetitive, but turn around, don't drown. There are little differences between different flood alerts, right? You have your flash flood watch, which means it's time to prepare. You have your flash flood warning, which means it's time to take action. Here are some of the different flood alerts that we have ongoing across West Michigan. In addition to all of our river flood warnings, we currently have a flood warning in general for portions of southern Oceana County, northern Muskegon County, Newaygo County, and Mecosta County. And then statewide, I mean, Tanner, we've been talking about this all week long. Statewide, we have flood watches. Why is that the case, right? Why are we seeing these statewide flood watches? Well, we have received an immense amount of rain just over the last 24 hours. Let's look at some of those rainfall totals that we saw. The numbers aren't perfect on this, I will say. We're struggling a little bit with this graphic in terms of the number data being correct, but I want you to look at the highlighted shades and then the bar across the top. Anywhere that you're seeing shades of purple, red, or orange, that's in excess of 2.5 to 3 inches of rain that's come down in just the past 24-hour period, right? So that is continuing to suppress our system. The ground can only handle so much. And look at our current radar at this hour. We have active moderate rainfall coming down all across West Michigan. This rain is anticipated to last until at least 2 o'clock this afternoon, at least in an isolated form. But this is the most widespread rain that we will see today. You can see the surrounding areas of us not showing nearly as much showers in the forecast region. So thankfully, we are going to enter into a drier forecast here soon. But another thing that I would be remiss not to mention is just our spring precipitation totals in general. I mean, just this season so far, so this is from March 1st through today, April 15th, through yesterday. We will add additional rainfall totals to this by the end of today. We have already received 10.5 inches of precipitation in places like Grand Rapids, Muskegon, 11 inches of precip. That is above 5 to 7 inches where we typically are sitting at for an average spring season. You start to factor this in, plus the above normal conditions that we received in terms of snowfall totals this past winter, and eventually those are starting to take a toll now on our river basins across West Michigan. But Tanner, for anyone who's just joining us, and can you give them a little bit of an update on what's going on?
So if you're just joining our coverage right now, we're on the air breaking into your normal programming to tell you that officials have just now ordered those who are in the Muskegon River floodplain below the Croton Dam, you are directed to evacuate now. Let me give you a couple of areas that will be impacted by this, and this is coming straight from the notice that authorities sent across that area. So this would be the Leisureland subdivision in Bridgeton Township, Sycamore Flats in Ashland Township, 100th Avenue in Ashland Township, Old Women's Bend in Garfield Township, Anderson Flats in Garfield Township, Fright Hill in Bridgeton Township, Homesite Park in Bridgeton Township, River Ridge in Ashland Township, Bell Meadow Drive in Bridgeton Township, Devil's Hole in Brooks Township, and Cyril Street in the city of Newaygo. These are these areas that are specifically called out that officials are saying they are anticipating those areas to be impacted by floodwaters on the Muskegon River. Now, Sam was just walking us through moments ago why we're seeing all of this. Folks, I think we know why we're seeing all of this. We have had copious amounts of rain over the last several days. And right now, authorities feel at this point that those people in the areas that I have just named, so again, that would be the Muskegon River floodplain, and I know I'm saying that as a general area, but this would be south of the Croton Dam. You need to get out of that home that you're in. Maybe you're there visiting or looking at the river, anything like that. Evacuate that area in Newaygo County so you can stay safe. Again, we want to let you know that the public river access sites along the White River near the Hesperia Dam are also closed due to unsafe conditions. Some safety tips. I think Sam was just mentioning this. Turn around, don't drown. We say it over and over, but we typically are saying it when we only see some high water over the roads. This is a life-threatening situation that you need to be aware about. So those choosing maybe to drive around barricades or walking in areas which are posted as closed, you might get a citation or you might even be arrested. We're talking about waters that could rise very rapidly at this point. Now that we are reaching a major flood stage here? Yeah,
we are really, really close to major flood stage. It's interesting, Tanner, because the Croton Dam is actually one of the locations that's not quite at the major flood stage just yet. Downstream from it, the Bridgeton Dam, or the Bridgeton area, the Newaygo area, those are spots that are already sitting at that major flood stage. Concerning to me, right? Because we're going to watch that water flow down that portion of the river and potentially push some of these spots that are nearing their crest or anticipated to near their crest Saturday morning, potentially see that occur earlier.
Yeah, so would you say that that is why we're seeing the Hesperia Dam, that river area, closed at this point for safety as it's downstream? They're being proactive about this?
Yeah, and it could go hand in hand. It also could be a separate situation that's ongoing, right? We knew that it was about 6 inches below reaching its threshold as of 5, 6 o'clock this morning. It's been actively raining, and so there are a lot of factors at play right now. But yeah, stretching from Newaygo County to Oceana County right now, and even down into portions of Muskegon County, we have to be really, really cautious. I can't stress enough how dangerous the threat of flooding can be. We say this phrase often: turn around, don't drown. Why do we say that phrase? It sounds so dramatic, doesn't it? I mean, it does. You might think what's beneath your car, beneath your feet, is 1 or 2 inches of water. That may be what it looks like. But what can happen is our infrastructure can only handle so much water. And we have had these heavy, excessive, high rainfall events happening day after day, really week after week for us here in West Michigan. And so the surface below it, right, the rock surface, soluble rock, eventually starts to erode away when it contains too much water, right? It works against it. And that's where we're seeing some of these sinkholes pop up across West Michigan. And so we say turn around, don't drown, because what may look to only be several inches of water, several feet of water, and maybe you and that truck feel like you can get through it, that may not be the case. And so you have to be cautious, heed the warnings, do not be moving barricades and those sorts of things.
Yeah, so here's some more information. And of course, we were mentioning earlier that the Hesperia Dam was closed as well. So of course, sounds like we got a couple different situations here. The White River, what's happening now, and this is from officials. It says local officials and emergency management report water conditions to rapidly rise on the White River in Hesperia. Water is currently flowing over the spillway of the Hesperia Dam, may soon begin to topple over the dam itself. Water is already impacting the structure of the Division Street Bridge. So that's that situation. Muskegon River, different situation here. There are 3 USGS stream gauges used to determine the river levels. And as of 9 this morning, the Muskegon River, like you were just saying, nearing that major flood stage. And so that would be why we're seeing the Muskegon River floodplain there below the Croton Dam, ordered to evacuate. So if you're just joining us, that's kind of the situation right now. So if you are below the Muskegon River floodplain, on the Muskegon River floodplain below Croton, you are being directed to evacuate. Now, I understand we have a map, and let's go ahead and give you a visual whenever we can get that there. Again, these are, there's the Croton Dam on the right side of your screen. On the left side of your screen is where the city of Newaygo is, and you can kind of see how this all flows downstream there. So that is kind of the area of concern, is below the Croton Dam. Those are the areas around that river floodplain you are going to want to start evacuating at. And again, this is because we could at some point see these river Okay, we could see those river levels rise very quickly. And so if you are below the Croton Dam at the Muskegon River Floodplain, you need to start evacuating. We are going to wrap up our coverage right here on WZZM and return you to normal programming. But we are going to continue our coverage on 13+. You can download that on your TV and watch for free. We're going to be streaming this very active situation for you, as it is a very intense and serious situation. So, of course, be sure to tune in right there on 13+. We're also working on this in the newsroom, too.